goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Connington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
I am feeling fat and sassy tonight.
I'm just feeling sassy.
I'm feeling tired. We're recording this pretty late.
That's okay.
Than our usual.
It's all right. I am very feisty right now.
You're feisty right now?
But guys,
Fired
we're
up.
still going to give 109%. Not 110. We're not perfect.
I mean, nobody's perfect.
Yeah. So we're on episode 24.
Jesus, already?
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting
something.
there.
Shit.
So it's going to be a fun one because the movie tonight I did not want to watch. And you sons of bitches made me watch it.
No, literally, in our group chat, I was like, Brian's going to be so pissed. And John was like, I don't care. I am John. No, just kidding.
Ruler of bad movies.
He didn't say that at all.
You're like that the one character on Mystery Science Theater 3000 that would always send the crew like the really bad films
the chick,
to watch.
you mean?
The chick, yeah.
Oh, Mary Jo Pearl.
Yeah.
Mary Jo Pearl.
I've got a terrible movie for you this week. It's like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, that's true. You're the Mary Jo Pearl of this shit show.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send them cheesy movies, the worst I can find. They'll have to sit and watch them all while I monitor their mind.
Oh,
Wow,
man, deep
that's
cuts.
impressive.
Deep cuts tonight on Cinema
Impressive.
Psycho.
And we just got sued.
Impressive.
No way, those guys are
No way,
awesome.
those
They
guys
would
are
never
cool. They
sue.
like us.
Never sue.
So,
Let's talk about rape.
Let's wrap,
oh
kids.
Jesus
Dead
Christ!
kids last
I was
week.
gonna
Let's
say,
talk
what's
about
our
rape.
news bit
Yeah.
this week?
Yeah,
So it's kind of
well,
like a.
So we've got a mishmash for you guys tonight. A bunch of the upcoming films, for the coming months, are coming from very controversial film directors.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where we want to start because there's 3 of them.
I have Mel Gibson, Clint Eastwood, and Nate Parker.
Okay.
Well, and Michael Bay, I guess, from what we.
Yeah, we
just
don't need
read.
to talk about him.
Yeah, well, let's start with Nasty Nate.
Okay. All right. So first of all,
Why don't you fill us in on
Yeah,
this
fill
guy's
us in on the whole-
extracurricular activities?
okay, so Nate Parker was acquitted of rape 17 years ago, and in this case,
Cosby style, baby.
what's horrifying and also utterly morbidly convenient for him is that his victim, alleged or whatever you want to say, I'm of the mind of believing a victim, so I don't necessarily want to say alleged, but his victim, she killed herself
Oh Jesus!
a number of years ago, so there isn't too much more happening with the situation. And Nate Parker's been known in the film world right now because he has done The Birth of a Nation, as a film that's forthcoming this fall,
and probably going to be an award contender. Honestly,
yeah.
like
it's
the film
Oscar
itself
bait,
looks
Well, especially
really
with,
good.
hashtag Oscars so white last year, like, they're going to be all...
Yeah, they're-
I'm not saying the film isn't going to be on its own merit.
No,
but they're
I
gonna especially
I think
be-
the film's going to be on its own merit because of the story that it tells, and that's what I was telling you before the show. Is it is a shame that this filmmaker's past is eclipsing what is probably going to be a very good film. I mean, granted, your past does come back to haunt you. And I mean, if a person killed themselves, I mean, they don't kill themselves over nothing.
Well, what's really interesting too is that the center of all of this, so the director was, actually, taken to trial and acquitted of this crime, 17 years ago. But the main actress, the amazing Gabrielle Union. I mean, she's a huge staple from our childhood. She got started in, I would say, the late '90s, into the 2000s. A lot of people make jokes about her all the time because she looks like the exact same.
She does.
She does not age. But one thing that she has brought to the forefront with this is that she herself was raped.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And so she wrote an editorial actually about the situation, and an op-ed, if you will, for the LA Times.
Is she in the movie?
She is.
Yeah.
And she plays the main character who is also raped. But she, and this is where where this blows my mind because she has to be older than I think she is because she was raped 24 years ago. And she doesn't say how old she was at the time, but Christ, she had to have been some kind of age,
Yeah.
for that.
She could have been a child.
Yeah,
couldn't
she could have. She could have. But what it is it says 24. Her op-ed starts 24 years ago. I was raped at gunpoint in the cold, dark back room of the Payless shoe store where I was then working. So she has to be at least 15.
Holy shit.
So, and then 2 years ago, she started making this movie, where she's playing a woman who is raped, and it wasn't until kind of recently. Now, this op-ed came out at the very beginning of last month, so beginning of this month, I guess, September still.
Yeah.
It'll be October by the time this airs, but today, here and now, it's September. But the beginning of September, she had written this, and she hadn't realized like his past necessarily. Someone had sent her the story, and the title of the op-ed says, "I can't take Nate Parker rape allegations lightly." So she's still standing by the movie at this point. They're starting to.
Well, is she standing by the movie or is she standing by the filmmaker?
She's not really standing by the filmmaker. She said, like, I can't take these allegations lightly. The whole thing's a really good read, the article, because it just explains, as important and as groundbreaking as this film is, I can't take the allegations lightly.
No.
I've been in a state of confusion. It's left her very confused. She related to the experience, and, by acting as this character, who's someone who's been raped, she wanted to give, a voice to the voiceless, she's silent throughout the whole film. And of course, this is going to be at the center of a lot of, of Black issues that are happening right now in our country, giving a voice to the voiceless and shedding some light on what, the Black community does go through. And, she said that her compassion for other, sexual assault, victims it's something that it's just a part of her, like her compassion for them. You could understand, how that would be. He's been, and then, she just doesn't, she doesn't say either way necessarily, she doesn't like make up her mind about it right away, but she says, does he think that he had consent? Did he think that he had consent? Maybe. But that's also a conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, she kind of goes through it like line by line and kind of says like, maybe he did think that, but
I guess my problem with the whole situation is that in the past, couple years, we've seen that our justice system seems to go ahead and is able to be manipulated by these rape cases.
Oh, yeah.
Where it honestly ends up being where it's like, it's not necessarily about the rape, it's about, the situations of it and everything. That's like, you can't erase the fact that, something happened, okay? Mm-hmm. Something happened.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot erase that. And I've seen too many times where, like, I think, what was it, a couple weeks ago, you had one college rapist who was acquitted, who was sentenced to only 6 months.
Oh yeah, and then he got out after 3.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're all like, "Oh well, it ruined his future." Well, I'm sorry. Fuck your future.
It deserved it. Well, and too, all anybody talks about is like his swim times, and he could have been this, and he could have been that.
I'm sorry. That's all gone.
He was a fucking creep.
He's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a fucking creep.
Okay.
And,
the amount to which we demonize people in terms of sexual assault or rape is based on how important they are to our society.
Yes, we value athletes above that.
Well,
those can go ahead and they get a pass.
Perfect example: Bill Cosby and Johnny Depp. Bill Cosby was, he was basically retired. He wasn't serving any purpose. He wasn't really doing television anymore. He wasn't the beacon of stand-up comedy any longer. So we could throw him down the river. But Johnny Depp, who whacks his wife around, like, well, he still makes a lot of money at the box office. So we'll just kind of whitewash it and overlook it.
Though I will say that the gross and overwhelming scope of Bill Cosby's crimes kind of makes this not an apples-to-apples situation.
That's
not
something
that I'm
that
diminishing
but I think
domestic violence in any way.
I think with Bill Cosby, it's the fact that he was an institution. Jesus Christ, you had Temple University that had, I think it was Temple that had like a statue to him and had named their media department after him. Mm-hmm. So
he's
he
a
was
very prolific figure, and too,
such an institution.
He was, their family was the Huxtables. And
yes.
They were just a huge fixture in American pop culture, and a lot of things about that show was a very groundbreaking thing at the time. But in this case, I think what's interesting is that we have a woman who is raped, playing a woman who is raped by a man who very well may have raped someone else, and he created this film. So I think at the end of the day, you know, in her op-ed, Gabrielle Union said, like, look, I'm not totally comfortable with what's going on, and I read all 700 pages of the trial transcript from the Nate Parker trial, and I don't know that we'll ever know what happened that night.
No,
but what happens is this film needs to get to the forefront. We need to address rape culture because, you know, she talks about her own sons and how they talk about that line of consent, and they say, you know, she says she and her husband try to teach them that every day. Like, consent is not a sigh, it's not a nod.
No.
You know, you have to, you know what to look for, and
I guess for me, it's a problem where I think the justice system's proclivity for being manipulated and basically blaming the victim for things like, oh, well, she shouldn't have dressed that way. Oh, she shouldn't have, you know, done this, or she was drunk and they were drunk. Like, just the fact that it becomes a character assassination attempt every single time that anyone has the bravery, in my opinion, to come forward and not only report it, but then press charges, put their own reputation at risk, you know, and then they basically get slapped in the face and said, oh, well, I'm sorry, our society doesn't care too much, that the justice system can be manipulated. And, I mean, that doesn't serve necessarily the you know, accused rapist that well, too, because then you get a situation like this, where maybe he didn't do anything. Let's say play devil's advocate. Maybe he didn't do anything. But our justice system has become so fucked up that, you know, even though he might be acquitted, you still have the air of, oh, well, he probably did it. Like, that's what I'm saying is it doesn't serve either party well. It doesn't serve the innocent person who is being accused of rape, and it doesn't serve the victim who actually was raped. Yeah. Because it hurts both parties.
And that's, I think, why you have to talk about this stuff. I mean, we have to have the conversation about rape culture. We have to have the conversation about consent, you know, and what's, I think, interesting now is that instead of Nate Parker being the face of his own movie,
he's now the face of these allegations.
Right. And what's actually happening now is Gabrielle Union is stepping in to do a lot of the press right now because it is forthcoming, you know, the press tours and, you know, like going on the talk shows and doing all that stuff. That's all taking place now, too, because every time he's asked about the trial and his previous accusations, he's been completely deflecting all the questions and he won't answer them.
And that's honestly the opposite thing he should do. That's the opposite thing you should do.
Well, that's what guilty people do.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Guilty people do that shit.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. So that's you know,
starting with a bang. So like
starting with a bang.
Really
Bad Apple number
movie.
one.
Yeah, we started with dessert. I feel, and now we're going to like lesser offenders.
So
I don't know.
Well, shall we jump to Mel? Let's not talk about Jewish people Thanksgiving Gibson.
Oh, my favorite person.
Oh my good lord. Okay, so best part of when John and I went to see this week's movie, which is Blair Witch, which we'll be discussing. I don't think that we mentioned that yet, but that's what's happening. And did we? Okay.
No, I think I said.
No, we just said
why'd you make me watch this movie?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you just pointed out your anger, and just not over what. Yeah,
exactly. So, but the best part of the
do you have a trailer?
Yeah, we saw the trailer, and all it said was from the director of Braveheart. They didn't even have the balls to put his fucking name in it. It was amazing. It made me so happy.
Oh, that's so good.
It was so good. So
remember Braveheart, right? You like that movie, right? Who do you think directed it?
yeah. Remember all this stuff you used to like? You like this stuff, didn't you?
You want to do it? You want it?
Remember Braveheart? If anybody saw South Park this season, the opener, and then the second part, like...
Remember when Mel Gibson wasn't an anti-Semite?
Remember?
Well, he always was an anti-Semite.
Remember when Mel Gibson was so dreamy? Yeah, so dreamy!
Remember?
So, guys, I could do an entire episode of Member Bears because it was amazing. If you guys haven't seen the episode, get on Comedy Central and watch it. It's amazing.
So
Hacksaw Ridge is the name of the film.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. So the movie looks fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Because it's about this dude who, now, was he of a faith that didn't believe in violence, or was he himself just a pacifist?
Both. Yes. I've seen a documentary on him. He was a conscientious objector because of his religious and personal beliefs, so he never carried a weapon into war, and he ended up saving countless lives while never carrying a weapon.
Dude was a stone cold badass, and the movie looks so good.
He doesn't kill anyone?
Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't fire a single bullet, and he's never taken a life, and he creates all these like ingenious ways of like getting injured men off the battlefield and
Spider-Man
shit.
too.
What?
It's Spider-Man 2.
What are you talking
What do you mean
about?
it's Spider-Man?
Andrew Garfield.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what the
yeah,
fuck are you
yeah.
talking about? They're trying to draw a parallel between the two.
I was like, Doc Ock is in this?
Nothing against Spider-Man, but I don't know. No, but yeah, it's starring Andrew Garfield, as the main character in the piece, and I mean, it just looks incredible. But it's just like you have to remember, it's Mel Gibson.
It's Mel Gibson.
Awkward.
Well, and I guess how do we define how we look at films? Like, can we look at the film unbiasedly if it's a good film, or is it always going to be tainted by the fact that it was made by Mel Gibson?
Well, you and I have had this conversation time and time again because we're married and we studied film for 10 years. So I feel like this is a common Willis-Croft conversation.
Well, Roman Polanski, for example, is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time.
But he's a human piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a child rapist.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
But the films...
For me, it
incredible.
taints me every time. It taints me every time. I can kind of step aside and maybe look at the work and try to look at the work objectively, but I can't help but condemn the person for their actions because if you're just a piece of refuse, like I don't. If you're a tire fire, I don't care. Like fuck you. I don't watch Woody Allen movies anymore.
Oh yeah, that's
fuck that guy.
That's gone out the window there.
Well, I mean, I can understand not supporting somebody after allegations come out moving forward, but what about things that, you deemed of great quality before any of these allegations came out? Do you cease to see them as great works of art?
It ruins
achievement?
it, honestly.
I think for me, it ruins it.
To know that the person behind the art was a total piece of shit, like, it just ruins everything for me. I can't even see it the same way.
I think it's because when you watch a film, you are, open yourself up to the filmmaker. It's their vision that you're seeing. So if you're going in there saying, oh, well, he's kind of a piece of shit.
It's hard.
And he's kind of done this, that, and the other thing. It's hard to go ahead and detach yourself from that particular aspect of them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things where I've been lucky because it's not happened to any like artist that I've really liked beforehand. You know what I mean? It's not like they've come out with something like after the fact. I mean, I could respect Woody Allen's work before, but he wasn't my favorite. You know what I mean? And when I saw Rosemary's Baby, I took it with like a major grain of salt.
The thing is, like
Woody Allen.
Yeah, I did.
We met Roman Polanski.
No, I was shifting kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
that
wasn't
was confusing.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. That's totally.
I thought you just misspoke.
Nope. That's totally valid. I was not a big Woody Allen fan, but I mean the allegations about Roman Polanski have been pretty much like throughout the course of our lives. Like it would have been hard to not know about it.
No, I mean the thing to do is even here's the one thing though with Roman Polanski, his accuser dropped the allegations.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, Roman Polanski also disappeared into another country.
There is
never
that
came
too.
Back.
That's
what innocent people do.
Yeah, that is what innocent.
Yeah.
No, he's a human piece of shit for that sort of shit.
Yeah, and dropping charges does not mean he's innocent. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's controversy number 2. Mel Gibson.
I know for me, I love Braveheart.
Yeah,
but I watch it and I'm just going like, this guy hates Jews and I'm Jewish. So like that's why I will never see Passion of the Christ. I will never watch it.
You're not missing anything.
Because I look at it
You're
as
into violence porn.
I'm not into violence porn. I don't even like Hostel, and that's
Same
torture
movie.
porn right there. But I mean, I will not watch it because one that gives credence and it gives profit to someone who honestly is telling a anti-Semitic story. Yeah. The Passion story is an anti-Semitic story. It's the same thing that basically said, hey, Jews are to blame for the death of Christ.
Well, my problem is it's not a very good movie.
Well, yeah, I know that's a big thing that a lot of people say it's not a very good movie. But my problem is just that...
Well, no, I mean, obviously...
A lot of people were like, oh my God, this is like watching... It's like, okay, first of all, I'm not a religious person by any stretch of the imagination, but why are you celebrating someone's death? Shouldn't you celebrate their life, what they did with their life? No, you go ahead and you think you're a better Christian because, oh my God, we're watching Jesus die on screen.
Yeah, no, I'm from a super, super Christian town.
Yeah.
And like all my friends wanted to go see it.
I know everyone was like, oh my God, Aramaic, I need to learn that language now. My friends wanted
to go see it and I went to see it with them and like just like these big tears like rolling down their faces and I'm just like stone faced like this is the most ridiculous aspect of filmmaking that I've ever seen, because I was looking at it as art, because I was not raised in a Christian household, so my lens on it's completely different. You know, I was just looking at it, I was like, this is a terrible movie.
It was 15 minutes of shock value fame. That's all it was. Like,
true.
It's like, oh, it's gonna be the biggest movie in the world, but as quickly as it was setting box office records, it just plummeted.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, that's a major controversy.
Unlike
there.
Jesus, because man, they got those nails in there good.
Wow, that's a thing you said on our podcast,
man.
Dude, like
it's fine. Look, he never really existed, so it's fine.
We want fans, John. We don't want to alienate everybody.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so who's controversy number 3?
I don't know. John wore me out.
We're really working down the ladder here to Clint. I'm too old to really think about what I'm saying anymore. Eastwood.
You mean Mr. Yell at
Empty Chair.
Invisible People?
Empty chair.
Yeah, yell at empty chairs.
Get off my lawn, empty chair.
Say I'm sick of this pussy nation.
Oh God.
Get the fuck over it when he's talking about Trump's racism. His comments about women and gays and minorities.
So he's basically, your racist great uncle.
Yeah, it's like trying to teach your 14-year-old dog Old Blue. I'm bringing him back. You're bringing back
Old Blue.
If you haven't taught Old Blue to sit by the time he's 14, he's not going to do it.
No, instead he's just going to basically shit on the floor.
I think
because he's incontinent.
I think Clint's 117.
I'm pretty sure that Clint just shits on the floor. He just says, I'm not going to sit down. I'm going to shit on the floor.
Clean my ass.
Clean my asshole.
Oh my God. You guys just wanted to do this news story so you could do your imitations, which are very good.
Let me tell you something. I don't go ahead and I don't care about this pussy nation. I care about sitting on the floor.
I wish you guys could see both dudes' faces, because they're both like
Get off my
teeth
lawn.
on edge.
You
get
have
the right
to do,
clip.
yeah. You
Get
have.
off my lawn.
It's not even like we're getting into character. You have to like
remember
jet
me?
your jaw like that. Or
I was Dirty Harry once.
You guys look
I was
ridiculous.
Dirty Harry. I made Unforgiven. You thought Christian Bale invented the growl and Batman? No, it was me.
Oh my God. So he has a new.
Does he have a new movie?
Sully.
Yeah. Oh,
It's not new. It's been out for a little bit.
Wait, he's the one that directed Sully?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought somebody else directed it.
We got Tom Hanks in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he directed Unforgiven. He's directed $1 Million Baby. The
guy is a great director. I will give it to him. He is a fantastic
he's like crazy
director.
old pap, but like he knows what he's doing. But yeah, so he has Sully, and now Sully's already out. So and I would say it's been out long enough that if you guys want to see it, like maybe go now, like go soon, because it probably won't be in theaters for too much longer.
It's a character. I mean, it'll disappear, and then if it gets any award buzz, it'll be back. But it's not going to be out for long. It's not like a new Transformers movie, which, by the way, what we just read may involve Hitler.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're giving him a bonus.
You're giving a bonus news story.
Michael Bay wants to.
I had actually closed that out because I was like, "This is crap."
I like that Brian drew the line at Hitler, and John was like, "No, we are going full steam ahead
with Hitler stories." So apparently,
so the death camps turns into Megatron.
Apparently, the new Transformers movie has references to World War II, and let me see if I can actually find the news story, because I said I closed it down. This is from Cinema Blend. Okay, Cinema Blend has a story that says how the new Transformers movie, which is called Transformers Last Night, will have some parts that take place in World War II with an alternate version of history in which Hitler's headquarters is featured, and how it will have Prime Minister Winston Churchill in it, and how they might be fighting Nazis. And it also deals with the Arthurian legend of Merlin and magic. So I'm assuming that Michael Bay just said, fuck it, throw everything in the fucking kitchen sink. Nazis,
I think it's a direct
Arthur.
Quote, actually, because fuck you, Michael Bay.
Yes, fuck you, Michael Bay.
Quote from him, because fuck you, audience. You'll pay for it anyways, you monkeys.
And the sad thing is they will.
Yeah.
There are people out there who be like, oh my God, Transformers! That's what they'll do, too.
Remember when the first X-Men movie came out back in 2000?
Remember?
Yes, we
Remember when Transformers had Shia LaBeouf?
It's cute to us, but just imagine having to listen to it.
Yeah.
But how people were so offended that in a comic book movie they had mentioned the Holocaust. You know, that's the opening of the movie with Magneto and his parents being, taken off.
Well, that was X-Men. That wasn't Transformers.
Yeah, I said.
Yeah.
Did I
X-Men.
say X-Men?
You said
Yeah.
Transformers.
Sorry, yeah, back in 2000 when the first X-Men movie came out. Pardon me if I misspoke there. But how offended people were that in a comic book
Were
movie...
people offended by that?
Oh, yeah. They thought it was an extremely poor taste to use the Holocaust in a comic book movie.
I didn't think so. I thought it had made perfect sense to me. For the characterization of Magneto to basically say, hey, you know what? This is what can happen to mutants.
I think just something so horrific and, something that actually happened in history that was so horrific and so awful to use it for an explosion-fest comic book movie. If you're looking from that perspective, it's just offensive. I is possibly where they're coming from. I'm not saying this is my opinion, but the fact that then you would use these things in a Transformers movie is just
I mean, here's the thing. I love the movie Inglourious Bastards, and you could make the argument that they used Hitler, they used Nazis, they used that whole time period as an exploitative thing, exploiting the real tragedy of the Holocaust and the atrocities of it. You could make the same argument that that's what Quentin Tarantino's doing. I don't, because I love seeing that Hitler getting shot up and the Nazis getting blown to hell.
I think he was trying to give us the alternate reality that we wanted.
Right.
If it was a movie, this is what would happen. Hitler would have gotten shot in the face.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what Transformers is doing here. They're doing an alternate history bullshit. They're doing all that stuff, and that's fine. My problem is just that this is just a giant symptom of just lazy fucking filmmaking.
Well, Michael Bay's trying the Sharknado approach now. Like, let's see how stupid.
No, I think that's literally what he's doing.
Yeah,
is quite literally just saying, well, you know what? Let's do Nazis, let's do Arthurian legends, let's do Merlin, and let's throw some Transformers in it too, for good measure. And throw Mark Wahlberg in there because he's got nothing else to do.
He's a scientist.
Okay, he's a scientist. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
I would say I'll buy that for $1.
He's been a scientist. He's been like an engineer. He's been a science teacher. Would you please stop casting Mark Wahlberg as intelligent people?
I'm going to be honest with you. Mark Wahlberg's greatest role was in the
Calvin Klein ad.
No, I was going to say the movie where he plays the gym rat who murders people for money. It's based off of the real film. The real. You didn't hear about this? It has The Rock in it.
Oh, Pain and Gain?
Yeah, Pain and Gain.
That was Michael Bay?
Really? It looked
But that was his... No. That was his most true to form role.
Oh, because he's
playing a meathead, violent person.
Speaking of another guy who beat up homosexuals because they were gay, wow, Hollywood's an interesting place, isn't it? All I can say is, hey, Michael Bay, you are too classless and too... horrible of a filmmaker.
We hate you.
To be even.
I think that's just what you're saying. Yeah, we hate him.
To be going anywhere near death camps. Speaking of camping, we saw Blair Witch.
The sequel, not the project.
Well, so let's break this down for the uninitiated.
Reboot.
Okay, hold on.
The sequel-y reboot.
Right.
Hold your horses, y'all. I'm gonna break this down.
Break this down.
Break it down now.
The year is 1999. We don't know what the fuck the internet is. But this movie comes out.
We know you can find naked pictures on it.
But they don't.
Gillian Anderson naked photos.
They only buffer to tap a boob before you fall asleep.
That's true.
There's no
56K.
DSL.
And before your mom needs to use the phone, and he's like, "Oh, I almost got the titty, and now I gotta get off the internet."
It's true.
It's true.
So and I think that this is important to kind of start at the beginning because I know we're gonna laugh and make fun of things a lot, but there is a lot of good here. Okay, and I want to talk about what's good.
So, do you think we should? Talk about the first Blair Witch before we talk about the new one?
I'm just breaking it down.
Just giving us a little history lesson.
Someone might be listening to it that hasn't seen, either one, but likes us a lot for some reason.
Some reason.
Like Megan. Okay, so the first Blair Witch came out in 1999 and is notable for several reasons. Number one, it cost $60,000 to make, which is
made
absolutely unheard of because it then made back $248 million.
Wow.
So if you think about it, for every $1 they spent on the movie, they made $10,931.
That's insane.
Like, that's mind-blowing money. In fact, there's a lot of like really cool trivia about the film, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So 1999, this film comes out, and what is the main part is, I think it's a two-pronged, and John always calls this film lightning in a bottle, and I think he's absolutely right. You have this very interesting marketing aspect, and then you have this found footage movie that's very earthy, that's very like homespun, and gives it this credence of realism. Now, obviously, our eyeballs are exhausted in this day and age with, the shaky cam, as you say, but back then that really wasn't done.
Well, it's not the first one.
No, but it was something
Cannibal Holocaust was the first one.
Here comes the actually voice here, but it was the first.
But Cannibal Holocaust came out in the 80s, so I mean, like this had been
no, and I'm not trying to say it was the first.
But it
thing.
was the first mainstream one.
It was the first
really
mainstream one,
right?
Yeah.
And again, so what's also very poignant about the film,
because actualities were really the first found footage films. The very first films ever made were men leaving factory.
Eisenstein films, basically.
It's true.
Man with a movie camera. There you go.
Okay, so
that's pedagogy for your ass.
Wow, he went there. He went to pedagogy, guys. Okay, so the marketing program for this was basically that this shit was real, and they used the actors' real names in the film. Mm-hmm. And this film, say what you want about whether it's a successful storytelling venture or whether the one that we saw over the weekend was a successful storytelling venture or not. But this film was so real to people that Heather Donahue's mom got real sympathy cards because they really thought she was missing.
Wow.
That's really significant. Even the actors were told all of the backstory and all of the legend of the Blair Witch prior to filming, and they weren't told until afterwards that the filmmakers just fucking made it up. So we have like levels of reality and fiction and fantasy, and like I said, none of us really understood that, like, oh, you saw it on the internet, it must be true. Like, no, that's really what we thought, because we thought this was an omnipresent, all-knowing news source that could never be wrong.
Back then, we did not have nearly as many news sources on the web, as we have now.
And I don't think that anybody over time that was of the age that could be cognizant of what was going on had really honed the critical thinking skills that you have to have when you look at the internet. When you see a story and you're like, I don't know. Because the marketing for the film was that this actually happened. Was that this footage was found from these filmmakers that had gone missing, and this was like the account of what had happened to them. So this was something that was approached so differently on all aspects, and it was brilliant. It worked.
Honestly, the only
money.
thing that comes close to this in history is H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds broadcast.
It is kind of a modern.
It's literally the exact same thing.
That is fair, and we watch we listen to War of the Worlds every year. Yeah. I hate to put something like this in a class with Orson Welles, but I don't know.
I don't like Blair Witch.
People the same way.
So I can kind of say that, but I will say this: it was a brilliant marketing strategy.
Yeah, and I get it.
Fantastic marketing strategy.
It kind of started, the internet marketing strategy for films. You looked at when The Dark Knight came out, and there's all those, scavenger hunts.
Yep.
To find like pieces of this for the Joker and all that to win things like.
What a different time we live in now.
That kind of thing wouldn't exist if it hadn't been for the Blair Witch kind of starting.
No, you're absolutely right.
And the dial-up era.
Absolutely. So that's kind of where we were, and all three of us here have seen the movie. I actually have probably seen it for the first time most recently. I saw it maybe 5 years ago for the first time.
For me, I think it was probably around like maybe, what was it, like 12? Not 12. No, maybe around 14.
Did you see it when it came out?
Yeah, did you see it when it came out?
Yeah, I saw it when it came out.
You're 14.
I was probably around 14
when it came out.
Because you're 2 days older than me.
Yeah.
So
I was around 14 when I saw it. And like I had friends that were like, oh my God, it's so scary. And I watched it when it came out. I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it when it came out on video.
Me too.
And because when when you're 14, you really can't go ahead and go see R-rated movies.
I think we rented it from Papa Rob's Video, which means nothing to either of you, but I just thought I'd give a shout.
I rented it from Eagle Video. Eagle Video. Yeah. That was my jam right there. So got it from Eagle Video, which was the now defunct Giant Eagle video store in Pittsburgh.
Rest in peace.
And I watched it, and I'm just going, okay, when's the scary part coming? Like I kept sitting there just going, okay.
Jesus.
It's a slow burn. It's a
slow burn. And then honestly, when it got to the end where you've got one character off in the corner and you just see him, and then you see the camera go down, I'm like, is that fucking it?
No, bullshit. I saw it when I was 25. I saw that guy standing in the corner, and my blood turned to ice.
No.
Like, I've never, ever been so engrossed in anything.
Maybe it's because of the fact that I quite literally was raised on horror films. Since I was 2 years old.
I hate them.
So, like,
it's fair to say, Elaine, you're the resident scaredy cat here.
I hate horror films. It's true. I was even scared in the theater when I went to see it.
I love them. I love and hate them at the same time because I know what they can be. And I'm constantly disappointed by watching piss poor horror movies. My problem was that with the original Blair Witch, they did an okay job developing, that you care for the characters. I didn't care, but I know other people, did.
Heather, Josh, and Mike.
Yeah, Heather, Josh, and Mike.
Yeah, we remember their names.
I don't remember their names. Well, I remember Heather. That was about it.
I remember their names because they yell each other's names 10,000 times in the movie.
Yeah.
Josh! Heather, Josh.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but a lot of the stuff that happened with this film is just so interesting because, they made it for so little money because they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they did is that they returned the cameras that they used, like the digital cameras that they used.
Cool.
They returned them to Circuit City and got their money back. I mean, you have to pay a restocking fee.
I know some filmmakers that actually do that stuff.
I mean,
well, that's one of those things that we were too young to be filmmakers at the time of any notoriety in our backyards. But it was one of those I wish I had thought of it first kind of filmmaking ideas. Like
I think I kind of was just like, seriously.
See, I mean, and that's funny, and that's why.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, okay, we both have all three of us have 2 degrees, okay, under our belt.
6 degrees at this table.
6 degrees at this table. Okay,
let me hold on. Let me double check your math.
Yeah.
Yep, I got this.
Yep, it's math. We're filmmakers. We don't do math. So, with those degrees, and you could say, oh, well, this is kind of being snobby, but you're kind of taught that films should have a plot and kind of progress and, have some kind of technical merit. And you watch this movie and it's like, what the fuck? Like, is this seriously what can pass? And that's kind of my problem with it is that, yes, it's celebrated. Yes, you could say that it's scary because nothing like it existed at the time. But it's not technically good. It doesn't really do much for plot. It doesn't really do much for progression. All you see is really just the experience of these people. And you could say, well, that's enough, and that's fine.
Right.
But I guess for me, as a horror film aficionado, I want more.
Right.
I thought that the Blair Witch Project did more than the movie we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
By leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
The original was stronger. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's stronger in a level, like I wouldn't say that movies like May or Hellraiser or things like that are anywhere beneath Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch Project, in my opinion, is close to the bottom of the barrel in horror. That's just for me. I see a lot more from other independent filmmakers who actually do pay attention to things like plot and character development and technical prowess and things like that. And I just watch a found footage movie and it's just like, so literally you just went out with the camera and just started, pretend, like scream, oh my God, Mike! I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that for 90 minutes. I just think it's tiring, it's exhausting. It's exhausting on your ability to watch it, because, that's my one criticism of found footage films is that, the shaky cam and all that other shit, it's exhausting to watch. I know people who would watch Cloverfield who've told me, oh yeah, I could only watch about 5 minutes of it because I was going to throw up.
Yeah, and
I was going to throw up watching Cloverfield because it sucked.
Touche.
Tell me how you really feel, John.
Well, one of the things
Fuck you, JJ.
that I'll definitely say, and we're almost done talking about Blair Witch Project, I promise.
Yeah.
But one of the things that when we were in the film, I mean, I told John multiple times when we were in the theater, I was like, shit, this is giving me a headache. I had to look down at my feet at something still, and it doesn't make me car sick, thank God, because that would suck. But I know it does sometimes give people motion sickness, but it gives me a huge headache. Maybe just because like my brain, I don't have good eyesight, so my brain is trying to reconcile it so fast because I'm used to being blind. Maybe that's why. Yeah, it gives me such a headache though.
Yeah, so I think, Brian, you hated it, the original film. Elaine, you liked it quite a bit, right?
I thought it was scary, but then one of my main problems with the film, I think we should probably talk about in context of the film that we actually did see for this episode. So maybe I'll wait.
And, I appreciated the film.
Yeah, appreciate is the word.
The film. But,
I can appreciate it for what it is.
It's not a great film.
I just
by any
don't
stretch of the
like it. I don't think, and I think that people try to go ahead and say, "Oh, you got to make a movie like the Blair Witch Project." No, I can find 10 to 20 better films that are true horror.
Right. Well, I mean, the problem becomes the people who say that just want to make money. You know what I mean?
And
like,
that's
when
the
they
thing.
say that, that's all. The truth is, and like this is going to sound pretentious too. Maybe it's just pretentious night.
It's pretentious night.
As a filmmaker, you are drawn to the story you want to tell.
Yeah.
And that's what should be your guiding muse in filmmaking, not, I want to make dirty Blair Witch Project money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love millions. Well,
I don't think you can do that anymore. I don't think you can make dirty Blair Witch money anymore.
I mean, the ratio of cost to yield, I mean, I don't think it can be done. Because, too, even those numbers are skewed. I mean, who bought it? Miramax?
Yes.
At the time?
They bought it for was it Lionsgate?
Oh, maybe it was Lionsgate.
It might have been Miramax, and then Lionsgate bought them out.
Let me see.
Good research, guys.
Because it, well, there's a lot to remember.
Fuck you!
Because it premiered during the midnight screenings at Sundance that year, and it showed at Cannes as well. Let me just see. Artists and Entertainment acquired.
Okay.
Artists and Entertainment, my bad. So, I mean, the numbers on that are a little bit skewed anyway, because the money that came to back it, that was like the push, like the internet site and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of money sunk into that. But if your main motivator is money, like, it's never going to work.
Yeah. I have an article about that too.
But
but
what was
I'll get to that.
Okay.
What was nice about this film was it was, that old saying, it's the light you don't turn on.
Oh yeah,
it's
so
what
true.
you don't see.
And I will give it that.
And what works,
it does a lot of that.
And what works so well at the ending, and once again, if you haven't seen a 25-year-old movie that, was pretty
Sorry.
good time, go fuck yourself.
You don't need to tell our audience to go fuck themselves if they haven't seen a movie. Jesus Christ, man.
I would like to personally apologize for John's attitude.
Listen, if you haven't seen the movie, just go watch the movie, okay?
And we still love you.
And we'll still love you.
To go masturbate. That's actually wonderful. Do it in the corner in honor of Blair Witch. Pretend like,
Ew, so
like you
creepy.
can't turn around
Don't
jerking
you
because the
quit
Blair Witch
making
will
everything
get you.
Creepy. You're creepy and horrible. Anyway, I don't even remember what y'all were talking about.
The ending of the film. Yeah, just
the ending of the film.
It works so well because she has the camera, she sees him in the corner, and all she does is get knocked down. And, obviously your brain fills in the rest. And that is...
Or you're like me and you're just like, I just wasted 2 hours of my time.
But, you don't see the witch, you don't hear the witch. And then, of course, the remake...
it's not a remake, it's a sequel reboot.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's that soft reboot in the guise of a sequel.
They're just they're ignoring
John
Book of Shadows.
John has very strong opinions about this.
Yeah.
They're ignoring Book of Shadows. That's what they're doing.
Imagine that. John
Everybody's
has strong
ignoring
opinions.
Book of Shadows.
I actually didn't mind Book of Shadows. It was more of a real movie.
But they rehashed the original film.
It's the same
at the beginning
movie.
of this movie, and they show that shot. But now they put in this horrible screeching animal witch noise as she gets knocked down because fuck you, subtlety.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, for me, the whole movie. One, as I said, I wish you didn't ask me to watch it because I hate it now more.
You'd be mad.
I really am.
Hey, you know what? This is our duty.
I know, but I
to
really
watch
didn't.
shitty movies like this.
It was the last movie I watched before I went to bed too. So I went to bed angry because of that. Okay, no, not nightmares, just
Anger
dreams.
Rage mares.
Rage dreams.
Rage mares.
Rage mares. So I just felt I was watching the exact same fucking movie that I watched 25 years ago.
Only everybody was 100% less likable.
Everyone was less likable.
And those characters in the original weren't really likable.
No, they weren't.
They
It's
weren't.
like, and first of all, where's the logic in this movie too? Like, okay, Heather's brother James is like, I'm going to go search for Heather in the woods.
That's
okay,
that's
the whole
beginning.
guiding principle behind this.
This young guy wants to find his sister Heather. He must have been like 3 or 4 when she
disappeared.
Went missing.
Well, he could be a little older than that because it does seem like a couple of them are in school, but James is an EMT, so he's like a little older, I think.
He's their older
Maybe
friend.
like 22,
Yeah.
23.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that.
maybe.
And then his friend is because it's not his love interest, right?
It's like
Well,
a will
it's a
they,
will.
won't they?
They will. Yeah, it's that bullshit. Which again, if this was a real movie, we would get maybe some of that development.
Little tent spooning.
Okay, little bit of that.
We saw a little.
No, you got one line.
Just a tip.
No.
Just a tip.
No. Fuck you both for different reasons. No. I think that there is a little bit, but we'll continue.
Okay, but anyway.
But one thing that confused me just really quick is I thought they had made specific reference to 17 years ago my sister Heather had disappeared.
Yeah.
But didn't Blair Witch Project take place in 94?
Yes, it did.
17 years ago would be 1999.
Yeah, they don't care.
That's
They're going by
logic
when
and
the movie
reasoning.
came out, Yeah.
You're nitpicking. Yes, but you're right.
No, I'm having
but you're
intelligence.
but
that's like a big, huge
You
problem.
shouldn't watch this movie then if you have intelligence.
It's a big fucking
It'll kill
error.
brain cells.
That is a big fucking error. Adam Wingard, you need to answer to me right now.
Well, he needs to answer to me a lot. Okay?
So true.
He needs to answer why I had to sit through 90 minutes of bullshit. Okay? Okay, but anyway, my point is
pay for 90 minutes of bullshit.
So anyway, my point is that you find out that James is going to go search for his sister.
Because he saw a video on YouTube.
Because he saw a video on YouTube from
that he
some
thinks
guy.
is of her.
Okay. First of all, that logic makes zero sense.
Which it looked like, like a tree had fucked an elephant's asshole. The face in that mirror. He's like, "This is my sister."
No, that looked like a creepy fucking monster. That's what it looked like.
Exactly. Just
Yeah,
like,
I
dude,
thought-
you think that's your
I
sister?
thought that was confusing.
Why
too.
would you go search for the creepy fucking monster that looks like your sister?
Yeah, I thought-
Maybe that
Sister
isn't
looked
your
like that, I'd be
sister
like,
anymore.
Kate, you're on your own.
Well, that's something else. Like, let's talk about the whole plot, but then I have like some theories, I have some questions,
Yeah.
Okay,
etc.
we're bad at this.
We're
but-
really
We're
bad.
really
at this.
bad at this.
All right, I'm tightening this ship up.
You want to tighten this shit up? You go ahead and give us a plot.
You're
So-
taking control of this.
I am
episode.
control. So
Mama Bear's hungry.
that was weird and creepy. What happened just now?
Somebody should put that on a loop.
Ew, no.
That's a cell phone ringtone right
it's
here.
like-
Mama Bear's hungry.
It's like Goldblum laughing for 10 minutes from Jurassic Park.
No, it was like when that floor cleaner came along when Homer was with Mindy, and he thinks that it's Marge, like telling him not to cheat. It's a sign.
Anyway, oh my
So,
god,
okay.
wildly off track.
Okay.
So we have the new film, and I couldn't get any definitive information as to when this film was supposed to take place.
I'm assuming 2016.
But they had a lot of DV tapes like that they found.
This
and stuff,
no,
which
the
I-
one guy
That's
had
because
DV
the
tape.
guy they find, he's only has
Okay.
old
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the new gang,
Yeah,
like,
he has
they
that
have the
old
new
handy
shit
cam from, like,
okay,
2006,
so yeah, it has
you know.
to take place today. That's right, because they have like a drone and shit. Okay, so we have James who wants to find his sister Heather, who disappeared not 17 years ago. Fuck you, whatever. So then his friend / will they won't they love interest Lisa has all
The
this
Rachel
equipment.
in this Ross group.
Oh, that's so weird because she looks like a friend of mine, Rachel. Like she looks like my friend Rachel.
Well, I was going to say like
when
the
you
Friends.
said Rachel, that's so weird.
Like
no.
Friend, the movie Friend, the game,
Yeah.
the
Oh no.
TV
And
show Friends.
I'm
you know?
familiar with the reference you're making, but I
Okay,
have a
good.
friend named Rachel that looked like her, and I kept like superimposing her face in the movie. It was weird.
All I can think is
Sorry.
Lisa from The Room.
Guys, we're getting off track again. You guys are bad at this.
Well, let's just have this one clock in about 4 hours.
It's fine.
So please continue.
So right, so she has all this equipment. She and their other friend Ashley are in film school, and they have access to all this cool equipment. They have like these really crazy like ear cameras.
Yes.
And I thought those were neat.
They didn't have those in my house.
Yeah, they were like Bluetooth with GPS.
Yeah.
And it looked like a Bluetooth. You just put it in your
It
ear.
was crazy.
And it was really, really cool.
Like, I want some of those.
So they had those, and they had like a drone that could go up to like 100 meters away, and had like all this interesting,
GPS shit.
Yeah, I mean, like the
Walkie-talkies.
equipment filmmaking boner that I had during this film was pretty significant. It like hurt a little bit, throbbed a little bit.
Yeah.
I kept punching John in the arm, being like, I want that. So,
well, that was a problem with the film too. Is it looks so clean.
Well, I mean, digital's come a long way. The first one's footage was supposed to be from '94.
It still looked like they shot it with beautiful cameras and tried to make it look dirty. And you could tell it was also shot by a great cinematographer pretending to not be a great cinematographer, because all these like just quick shots of people talking were framed so beautifully, and everybody was perfectly in frame, and it was just...
I'm sorry that the film was so pleasing to the eye, John. You're clearly disappointed.
Well, if you're gonna do a found footage film, like, don't make it so clean and so well shot like it was done by a professional cinematographer on really nice cameras.
Fair enough. Can I keep telling the story now?
Yes, you can.
So we have James, Lisa, and Ashley, and then they also have their friend Peter, who is Ashley's boyfriend.
Who's the asshole.
And he's coming along,
Who is
too.
the asshole in every fucking scene.
It was weird. Like, I didn't really think of him as an asshole.
I thought he was an asshole.
All he ever did was be mean and snarky and act like a real jerk.
I just thought I thought he was shitty. I didn't think he was, like, aggressive necessarily. I just thought he was kind of a dick.
Really? Because he was like, when he was like, I've been in these fucking woods.
Yeah, well,
I know the woods.
He's been friends with James his whole life, and so he remembers, like, after the fact when Heather had been missing and like the search parties and stuff, and some of the timing just doesn't add up. I mean, I would have liked to have known how old these guys are.
Yeah, because he would have been what, like 5 in the search
again.
party?
This is all character development. You don't need that shit. You don't need that shit. Found footage, bitch.
Well, because I feel like they would have needed to be. I feel like the characters would have needed to be our age to be like almost of a real age, at the time. You know what I mean? Because we were like 14.
We were like 14 at the time. That makes sense.
But
well, that plot point also went nowhere. By the way, the fact that he was in the search parties.
John expected that to pay off, and it didn't. The fact that he was there.
You don't show a snake in scene 2 and not have it bite somebody in scene 10.
I think all it really mattered was that he just meant like he'd been friends with him a long time, But some of the early setup in the film, I think, is a little rocky anyway, where they're trying to introduce the characters in an organic way. And especially too, like believing that this, Lisa's doing this project for her class or something. Like a lot of the interviews that she gets.
That's one hell of a class project. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's pretty ambitious. But anyway, so they go out.
Well, it's only supposed to be like a weekend, If everything goes right, they're gonna be out there for like 3 days.
Maybe.
So
then the team they head out, and what they want to do is they want to meet with this guy who lives in Burkittsville or Burkittstown. Shit.
Like it's
I hate everything.
I think it's Burkittsville.
There's so many details, you guys.
And he's the one that uploaded the video.
Yeah, he uploaded the creepy video.
Found the footage in the woods.
Yeah, so he found the footage in the woods.
Him and his girlfriend.
Found, a DV tape. So,
she's alternative because she's got purple hair.
Yeah, she clearly can't be trusted. Can we talk about her for a second?
And he's alternative because he's the lead singer of Green Day. He looks just like it.
He is really goofy looking. But can we talk about the girlfriend Talia for a second with the purple hair?
Mm-hmm.
Played by Valerie Curry. I see you, Valerie Curry. You were on Veronica Mars, and I fucking loved you. And it was really nice to see you in a movie again. You look the same age, girl. Like she hasn't aged a day. She looks the exact same age as Veronica Mars. I'm talking like 2004. She looks the same. It was crazy.
Practically playing a high school student.
Oh my god. That's what happens when you're just teeny tiny, I guess, because like she's just so like small and doll-like. But yeah, I see you, girl. It was nice to see you.
It was nice to see. So I thought you were gonna go all crazy, like I hate you.
Oh my god, no! When do I ever go on like a hate rant? Please. So anyway, they meet up with the other guys. The guy and his girlfriend. Funny story. Guy's character was Lane in the movie. That kind of like fucked with me a little bit because it can be a guy's name too. And so they meet with these guys, and they're fucking weird. And they say, we will only show you where we found this DV tape if you take us with you and let us camp with you. And that was bizarre to me. I think maybe they wanted to scratch on like maybe 15 minutes of fame. Like I'm trying to think of character motivations because we weren't given a ton. And I wish we could have
he wants to like, if anything, which it probably isn't because everything is just thrown away in this movie. I think maybe he wanted to like confront the Blair Witch because he's lived in this town his whole life. Like I have to see it. I have to know. I have to be a part of this. I can't have this whole thing haunting me for so long without.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel
piss
like
poor
a snippet,
character development, no
a
plot.
snippet of a conversation would have been helpful just to know their motivations, because like, who the fuck wants to go out into the woods like that, you know?
Well, my whole problem with the whole thing is just, okay, where's the logic here? You know, okay, let's say James, you know, this whole thing points to a trap, in my opinion.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is a shame, because I don't think it was, and
No,
I think it
but
was sloppy
that's
filmmaking
just
because it
sloppy
misdirected
filmmaking.
us.
So, like, my biggest problem with this is, okay, James wants to, you know, he lived through the whole ordeal with his sister. Mm-hmm. He lived through the search for the sister in the same goddamn woods.
Yeah.
That he's going into.
Yeah.
Okay? Why would you go back to the woods if you know something bad happened to his sister?
Well,
because they needed a sequel.
Well, I have some thoughts. I have some theories. I don't know how far we want to go. I mean, we can wrap up the movie pretty quick here. You know, what happens is they go to the woods. You know, they're shown where the DV tape was found. It was an old tree that had
struck
been
by
blown
lightning.
out by lightning and like cooked from within. It's like a supposed interesting phenomena. They camp at one site. They wake up to, you know, hear really crazy noises in the middle of the night. They wake up. There's a couple of the Blair Witch dolls. If
There's
you guys will
about
be
3 of
familiar,
them.
like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They're out in the woods.
You skipped over real quick the where they have to cross a creek.
Oh yeah, and
And-
Ashley
or
gets
creek.
really hurt.
She cuts her foot.
Yeah, and
It's really bad. It's really gross.
Yeah.
And so they bandage it up. They don't want to, you know, cancel this. Shit. They're
Sepsis.
like, well, you know, maybe a couple days we'll go get you how, you know, as long as you don't get a fever, you'll be fine. Yeah, and then
because James is an EMT, and two, like it was a lot worse than they were letting Ashley know. Like he was like really downplaying it for her.
See, I think that's where you turn around.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was really hurt. And you can see the bottom of your own foot, by the way.
I was going to
that
say,
really
like,
bothered me. Like you could see
when
it.
you see the bottom of your own foot, you see bone.
Yeah.
That's when you're just like, hey, you know what? Maybe
guys,
we should
I
turn
don't
around,
wanna go
guys.
camping anymore.
I think we should go turn around.
I think if you can see bone too, you can't really walk on it that well. She seemed all right. And the rest
It's like,
of
oh, just patch it up.
Bad.
Yeah,
put it
until
on,
got
put the
really
boot
bad.
on. You know,
So-
you're good.
But yeah,
to go.
but we're dealing now. We end up dealing with this for the rest of the film. You know how she's feeling and everything. So we get to the point where they're waking up to different dolls, you know, hanging and everything, and like everybody's spooked. They're like, you know what, fuck this, I'm out.
But
Like,
also
turn around.
But something that needs to be pointed out here is that they also heard very, very strange noises. And
Weird
this really-
noises.
This has really bugged me because in the original film, the noises were very faint and hard to hear, like they would be in a found footage film. This was done by a professional Foley artist, and
It's
it's
true.
so over the top.
It's crisp. It's
You know,
really crisp.
Yeah, it's like a lion fucking a dragon and just like you know, a rock monster jerking off. It's just it's so loud and so
rock monster jerking.
I just love.
So the
it's
thing
hilarious.
jerking off, basically.
It's
which
hilarious
Reed
to
Richards
us.
had to fall asleep to every night. But yeah, no, it's ridiculously loud.
The stuff that comes out of your mouth.
I just have this image of Reed Richards.
Hey, Reed, I gotta go beat my rock cock. Don't come in the bathroom for 6 hours.
6? We only have one bathroom.
It's dick clobbering time.
I'm just sorry, I have this image of
We
Reed
have
Richards just like curled up in his bed, just trying to.
And he's
trying
like-
to,
he's like shrunk himself down as small
wrapped,
as possible.
He's wrapped his hands around his ears, just trying to block out the noise.
A few laps around the head.
I'm just, Clint's jerking off time.
Oh, we have fun.
Or I think it's better. It's dick
clobbering
It's
time.
dick clobbering time.
Damn right.
Throbber in time.
Ew. So sad inside.
So, but yeah, they hear weird noises. They sleep till about 2 in the afternoon. They probably went to bed like around 11 or so. They sleep till 2 in the afternoon.
No one can
Nobody
figure out how it
believe-
happened.
And they all wake up at the same time
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But then they find out that the
Elaine
dolls
and
were
Talia
faked
were
by-
faked by
They
the,
faked 'em.
Yeah, they faked them.
But then he points
and
out, like-
they're really, really pissed.
Yeah, but he points out, like, what about the weird noises? What about the fact that we all slept till 2 o'clock, woke up at the
Like,
same
I
time?
didn't do that.
You can't explain that. But then they kick him out. Yeah.
They kick him out,
Yeah,
and
they
they're
kick
gone.
them out of the group because they break camp and they're like, we're fucking out of here. But then they get separated from the 2 of them, and so we still have the 4 that are they're still trying to like. They're trying to. That's the point when they try to leave. You know, they're trying to get back
they were
out.
leaving anyway, and they tried to. They ended up basically getting caught in the same thing that happened with the first movie.
Where they
cycled
walk
back
and walk
around.
and
They
walk
walked
and
and
they've
walked
gone
and
in a
walked, and they
circle.
got into circle.
Yeah.
Well, see, the problem was they gave the GPS to the woman.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
That was a joke. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
And don't worry, ladies. I slapped him in the face a little bit.
But no, yeah, they start doing exactly what happened in the first film, but instead of having a paper map, they actually have GPS devices. But
GPS.
And they end up, going in circles, and they end up right back at their first campsite. And they start to freak out because they should have been going miles and miles away from the campsite, but they end up at the exact same place, and they realize that they're, I don't know if they realize it, but they're stuck in the woods, like they're trapped there.
Yeah.
And this is when they run back into Lane.
Well, no, they break camp, or they make camp for the night because it's late and Ashley isn't feeling well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ashley has a fucking fever.
She's basically gone
really
to sepsis at that point.
Yeah, she's really sick.
And then that's also when, what happens? They do encounter the Lane and Talia again.
Yeah,
they wake up, night.
And it's supposed to be about
7 o'clock in the morning, and it's dark out still.
It's pitch black
like
out.
midnight.
They find Lane and Talia, and they're Lane has this beard now.
Yeah.
They're like, we've been wandering around for 5 days.
They both look rough as fuck.
The sun won't come up.
And Talia's like, do you have any food? She's
eating in London. And you sort of get a sense that time is being manipulated by the witch.
Yeah.
They, went to sleep for 8 hours. These guys have been out there for 5 days. So clearly time has been different for these
places.
two characters as our principal four.
And then at the same time, they wake up and they find more of those dolls around.
But way too many to be fake this time.
Yeah, way too many to be fake. But then, doesn't Lane go off and do his own thing and Talia stays?
Talia stays, and I think it's was it Lisa or Ashley grabs hold of one of the dolls and breaks it, and she breaks herself.
Yeah, Talia,
and she gets snapped.
Yeah, Talia just breaks, and this is again what John's point. The light you don't turn on. This part was, I thought, needlessly.
No, it's Ashley that broke the doll.
Was it Ashley that broke the doll?
Ashley
okay,
broke the doll.
Ashley broke the doll.
Yeah, she's all delirious. She's like, "It's your fault.
It's your fault." Blah, break the thing.
Yeah,
she
really
breaks.
Sick. Yeah, and it's absolutely horrifying, and
she snaps in half.
And talk about the light that you don't turn on. For this one, it just was too much. It was too gory. And I'm not trying to be a prude, but I think it would have been scarier if we hadn't seen so much of it. You know what I mean? If you see a quick movement and you see, okay, she's crumpled, she's dead.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to see all the fluid escaping from her body, and it was just
nasty.
It's this point where we realize that this film is gonna not have any of the subtlety of the first one. This movie is going it's going full tilt, and they're taking any of the
nuance
of the first one out the door.
Well, to this point, why don't
because audiences today need they need it spelled out for them, and they need those jump scares.
Well, I mean, too, why don't you kind of talk about something that we had talked about, because obviously we talked after the movie.
I don't need to talk about my boils on the air.
About the movie, John.
Oh, okay.
But you know how you had said, the first film, it almost seemed like it was ambiguous. Maybe there was somebody, maybe not.
Okay, yeah. So there is a theory out there that in the first film there was no Blair Witch, that these two young men were going out for a thrill kill, and they killed Heather, and that this was all an elaborate ruse to scare her half to death, then take her to this abandoned house and kill her, and then use all this footage as a ploy to say, to hope that they think everybody went missing, and that way they get away with the murder. That's to cover their tracks. Now, there's a few problems with that, how did they make the dolls? If they were all sleeping, who put the rocks out? I mean, you could say,
how did they walk around in circles?
Yeah, how do they walk around in circles? Yeah, there's problems with this theory, but the fact that you can even raise this question,
right, whether you believe it or not,
it's at least it's an interesting theory. It's fun to go, oh, what if? But hey, what this doesn't work, but this works, but that doesn't work. The fact that you could still raise those questions with the first one is interesting,
because they don't fully commit to the Blair Witch being real in the first one, and in this one they fucking commit.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, the Blair Witch shown in very shaky cams. She pops in here, pops in there.
But I'm not
People
sure
get
that
pulled
was the
up.
Blair Witch, by the way.
Yeah, she was supposed to be in the first one, actually. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they were supposed to show her in the first film, but the camera guy fucked it up, and they just didn't reshoot it. Like, he was supposed to pan left to see, like, a figure.
Genius accidental thing,
Yeah. Happy accident.
But, I mean, you have that, and then, like, for me, the only sequence that I found disturbing was the scene where Ashley is Lisa, I think.
Yeah,
that's
Lisa.
Who it was. Lisa is crawling through a narrowing hole.
A tunnel.
Well, hold on. We'll get there.
I was just gonna say that was the only thing that creeped me out.
Yeah,
because it gets claustrophobic.
Peter's killed by a tree. Spoiler alert.
Peter's killed by a tree.
Well, we kind of skipped over Peter. He was grabbing some firewood, which don't go grabbing firewood by yourself. You're not gonna make it.
Don't do it.
That's like every Friday the 13th play.
Yeah, man.
One of the kids is
I'm gonna go get some firewood, guys.
Amateur hour.
And then
rookie
Jason
mistake.
takes a weather vane, shoves it up your asshole.
Rookie mistake.
Friday the 13th, chapter 12.
He's killed and then dragged off, as we see by his camera, and then
Ashley pulls out a weird maggoty thing.
We don't see.
Yeah, well, when Talia crumples and dies, I mean, the three characters freak the fuck out and they just run in different
They just start
directions.
running all over the place.
I mean, because
that's when the ecstasy kicks in. You know what I mean? Everything just goes crazy.
Things are also
tents
building.
fly in the air.
Yeah, things are also building to a fever pitch. I mean, the noises at this point are intense. The wind is intense. A ton of things. Intense, because they were camping. Sorry. See, you guys loved it. Yay! Get it. But yeah, so I mean, everything is like really tumultuous at this time anyway, and they all get split up, and then Lisa and James find each other first, and then they end up trying to look for Ashley. Ashley finds the drone, which had gone missing several hours earlier. She tries to get to it so she can find her friends, because obviously she can't walk that easily. And then what happens, and I didn't realize it until later, but lightning hits the tree she's in, knocks her to the ground.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened. Lightning hit the tree.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
They set that up. At least there's something they set up earlier in the movie that had a payoff.
Yeah, where they explained like what happened to the tree.
And then you do see her pull some kind of maggoty thing out of her foot.
Yeah, that's like the gore porn.
Yeah, that really was. I was like, really? Was this necessary?
I mean, I could have just watched an episode of Tosh.0 and seen the same fucking thing.
I don't know if that was supposed to be extraterrestrial, if that was actually supposed to be a real animal, but it was like, I think it was supposed to...
It just looked like a parasite.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a scene later in the movie that made me wonder about that.
I thought, and I know what scene you're talking about, I thought that, I'm like, are we talking aliens here?
Yeah. We'll get there. But yeah, so she's dragged off. We don't see by who. They finally find the house. Well,
which they didn't
not
think that they were
going to
find. Yeah, they didn't think they were going to find it.
Which, by the way, so both films deal with the idea of a serial killer in the 1940s who was bringing, luring kids in the woods, killing them in a house, and then the house was eventually demolished. But he kind of, he went out of the woods and, basically said voices in his head told him to kill these little kids.
And he was the voice of the Blair Witch.
And people were like, oh, it's the Blair Witch. People were like, don't be silly, but the house was not supposed to be there in the first film when they find it. So the fact that they found a house was, possibly the Blair Witch playing games with them. Mm-hmm. And then once again in this film, the house isn't supposed to be there, but it's pouring down rain. It's been night for probably a day and a half now. They find, this house, and of course the idiot EMT's like, I think I hear my sister inside. I have to know. This is my arc.
So let's give James an iota of credit. So I would like to give you guys my theory.
Yeah.
So basically, as the thing reaches to an end, we see Lisa built through this tunnel because she's like clobbered by Elaine, who's now the Blair Witch's spider-eating man bitch and doing all of her bidding.
The Renfield,
like the serial.
Renfield.
Yeah, he's a Renfield.
He's Renfield.
He's the new serial killer, like the one from the 40s they talked about. He's doing the bidding for her because I think the understanding is if you do the bidding,
she won't kill you.
She won't kill you. Eventually, she'll let you go if you bring her enough sacrifices.
Right. That's like the theory. Yeah. So he like clobbers Lisa and traps her in this like crawl space thing, and she kind of gets out through this tunnel, which is alluded to earlier in the story when they're talking about like structures in the woods, like there's a tunnel system, and so she thinks that she should be able to get outside. She ends up just being like looped back into the house, but she does get out of the
tunnel. I don't
tunnel.
know what the hell happened in the one sequence, because it's
weird.
like, did she get ripped out of the tunnel and then put back in the... Like, I have no idea.
I feel like it was
what
another
the fuck
manipulation,
happened.
just like how they got circled back to camp. You know what I mean? Like, it should have led outside, but it didn't.
Well,
so,
what's
really quick. I'm sorry. I just want to get to the end of my point so I can share my theory with you guys. So, most of us would accept that Heather is dead at this point, even if they were our sister and we were very sad. Even if she was our sister, we would say, okay, she probably didn't make it.
I think I would have accepted that without having to go in the woods.
It's been
but that's
17
just me.
years. Right. So the question begs, why the fuck would you go in there?
Yeah.
So, and why the hell would you think that creepy thing is your sister? My question is, at the very end, James is like, Lisa, don't look, because we're in the corner with them. It's the very end of the movie, like shit's getting serious, and they're in the corner, staring at the corner, and he said, don't look. If you don't look, she can't kill you. And then all of a sudden, you hear him say, Heather, is that you? And he turns around, and the fucking witch gets him. Is that what the witch did from the beginning? Was he pulled into this situation from the footage on that tape that was online where he thought it was his sister? I mean, was that the Blair Witch at the very beginning pulling him to the woods and calling
that's
him?
kind of where I say,
Whoa,
like,
I got a lot to say here.
Okay.
Well,
I'm asking questions.
That's kind of where I say, like, was this Elaine character working with the witch the whole time?
Yeah.
That's
a valid question.
Well, here's the thing. The Blair Witch doesn't kill him. Heather does.
Oh, what? No,
Heather's the Blair Witch? Is that what you're saying?
Oh my God, like the hairs on the back of my neck went up. Like, you're so deadly serious right now.
Dun.
Fuck me, that was so creepy.
The Blair Witch at this point is more of an omnipresence. It's something in the air. It's a higher consciousness.
State of being.
And the creature that we see in the movie, and they mention how she was drawn, her arms were stretched out, her legs were stretched out. She did the same thing to Heather and created her as her new vessel in which to get these souls and to kill these individuals.
And your evidence?
This is just a theory.
It is a theory.
And that what kills them is not the Blair Witch, it's Heather. He finds his sister and she kills him.
Fuck, that's fucked up, dude.
Wow.
I have a stomach ache.
This
isn't fun anymore.
Well, when they're running through the house, like they have their little headsets on and they're running through the house, and you keep seeing like he turns a corner and something runs in a doorway, and you see what looks like a little old lady, kind of. In
that's
a very
what I thought.
Tattered dress and all that.
Well, it's the footage from the beginning of the whole thing, isn't it?
We'll get to that too. But here's my question: so you see a little old lady, but you also see a monster, like a thin man monster with these long arms and
really
and long,
pale skin.
So there's two different creatures, right?
Right.
So I think what the old lady was that was luring them where they needed to go was a manifestation that the Blair Witch was creating to lure them along. And that the real monster, she makes these things, and then Heather was the actual monster that was killing them in these situations, because obviously there was no one Blair Witch. The Blair Witch has the power to create and manipulate things, but she is, as I said, not a physical, tangible thing, and that the actual monsters were, people that she has taken over time, and the real monster that kills them in the end is Heather.
I want my mom.
I still hate the fucking movie.
I mean, that's fine.
It's a very good theory, but here's the problem, and this is my biggest problem with the whole movie, is there is so much stuff that is so ambiguous and leaves it up for the audience to really just kind of
this is
fill
a
in the
time travel
holes.
movie, and time travel movies have a lot of problems.
Right, but I mean, I just have a serious issue with the fact that there's so much left out that are you really watching a movie at all? Like, what? Yeah. That's part of the bargain we have with filmmakers is they entertain us with a story. Right. And in that story, there are characters, there are plots, there's beginning, middle, and end. And instead, what you get here is just kind of a mishmash of plot and scenes and shots then that you are responsible to go ahead and kind of interpret. So that's my problem, is that there's so much interpretation. I thought there were fucking aliens in this movie.
I did not get aliens.
I got aliens because of the noise, the fact that there's no light out.
Well,
you know?
Here's what happens in a scene in the house. It's pitch black. It's been night for so long. They're going through the house, and they've locked the, Heather or the Blair Witch, depending on your point of view, out of the room.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hello, let me in so I can murder you." I have cookies.
I have cookies. Candy Graham.
Candy Graham. I love it.
But, and then all of a sudden, this giant beams of light come through.
Yeah, that was really weird.
The boards in the house, the exposed boards.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What the hell is that?
What is that?"
And some people have brought up the idea, was that aliens? Is the Blair Witch extraterrestrial?
Well, the thing is I immediately thought of the movie Dark City.
Oh,
which,
shit.
if you're familiar with Dark City, the premise of that is that the world is eternally night because they are on their own, basically self-sustaining, ecosystem on the alien planet, on an alien ship.
Yeah.
So there is no daytime.
Yeah.
It is only night.
It's true.
So that's what I immediately thought of. I'm like, okay, we doing aliens now? Is that what we're doing?
Well, here's an easier explanation. She can't get in. They've locked her out. She's trying to create the idea that, it's sunlight out again. We may have hope. We may be able
that
to get
did
out.
not read like sunlight to me at all.
I don't think it did either.
That read like, I'm gonna scare the shit out of you. Shit, like
It was
that's
creepy,
It reminded me a little bit of Hellraiser, because Hellraiser had the whole thing with light through the walls.
I could see that.
But my problem is just that there's so much of this stuff that it's just ambiguous, and you don't really know what the hell's going on, and it's a rehash of the same.
Well, it's the
exact
same movie.
It's
the exact same fucking
again,
movie.
I mean, we run into this all the time, like when you do a sequel, or in John's case, a soft reboot.
Well, The Force Awakens is just New Hope again, but nobody seemed to mind that.
Right, and I was just going to say...
Because I like that movie, and that was a better movie.
Remember? No, just kidding.
Remember Chewbacca?
Just remember Chewbacca?
But Force Awakens had character development and had a plot.
Right. I mean, it's a much better
it was the
movie.
same similar plot, but Jesus Christ.
That's not a question. But what I will say, in credence to this, is you can't win with a sequel, because you either give the audience the exact same movie, or you do it totally different.
It is a catch-22. You're right.
And you're criticized for either one.
Go back and listen to it again.
Yeah. So when you either you can't win either way. At the end of the day, what my problem is, and I know I talked a lot about the first movie, and as a filmmaker, I respect the hell out of the process.
Yeah.
But the big problem that both movies have, I had a very surprising reaction to the Blair Witch the first time, because I was I was scared when you saw that dude standing in the corner. It was fucking scary to me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, I burst into tears when I realized that Heather just dies and that's it. Because there was no point. Because why do we love horror movies? Psychologically, why is it something that we as a human race are drawn to? Because they build tension. They put us in, situations in life that we're not usually in. They in this life or death kind of situation. So it's tension, it's pressure, and then the good guys live. Something prevails. We're given a catharsis.
That depends. That depends.
In a lot of the more satisfying ones. This is what I'm saying. Depending on what you like out of your movies.
Debatable.
I'm making broad generalizations, so just go with me.
I'll go with you here.
But you want that end of the tunnel. You wanted Lisa to live. I didn't even give a fuck about her, and I wanted her to live. There was no payoff emotionally for all of this shit that you had just gone through. Because after they head into the woods, I had a stomach ache for the next hour, just because it just was tension building, but there was absolutely no release. And that the first film suffers from that too. Do you remember that, John, when I saw it and I just burst into tears at the end? I was like, so she fucking died for fucking nothing.
Well, guys, we're ignoring the or we're skipping over the whole time travel thing of the video, just to wrap up the film. The video that they saw that lured them into the woods in the first place is the video that they shoot at the end of the movie. And to that point, I thought this was just kind of a bad film. At that point, I just said, fuck you to those filmmakers. The idea that somehow because of time travel rules. You know, the fact that the Blair Witch can bend time and and upload
aliens.
Videos.
Telling you,
this is what really made the film fall apart.
So they watch a video that is the
that they
cause.
themselves
is that what it is? I mean, is that what they've said it is?
That's
the
pretty
ending
much
of the
what people
movie
are
that
saying.
they shoot at the end of the movie is the video that they watched
in the beginning.
At the beginning of the movie, which is in screenwriting that's what that's what causes them. I'm forgetting the correct term, but that's what their call to action.
Yes, that's right.
And the thing is, so obviously she can manipulate time because it was they said they had just slept through the night and the other characters had been awake for 5 days. So clearly she can manipulate time. So what I'm getting from this is that she had all this happen and then she reversed time so that they could find the footage again and so they could go do it again. But if she already killed them, why does she need to kill them again? And
time travel movies always have problems.
She has this power to manipulate time. Is she a god? And I don't. It's like, fuck you. Like
that. I mean, I honestly that's the biggest thing I could say to the filmmakers is fuck you. Fuck you for making me watch 90 minutes of that shit. Like honestly, I'm still angry about that. But I
knew you'd be mad.
Just to go ahead and wrap this whole thing up here, I do want to talk a little bit about its box office. Okay, so I found this article on Blumhouse.com, and it's not a porn website, I promise. Blumhouse is a production company.
What would make that be a porn site?
Because it sounds like a porn site, like Blumming.
It's not you went to kooksplooge.com,
No, but it just...
You need to wipe your search history, mister.
Anyway, Blumhouse Productions is a production company that primarily does all of the... I like to say the watered-down horror films that we have nowadays. So this is like your Paranormal Activities, your Sinister, your Purge, Election Year, all the kind of movies that kind of get just kind of crapped out and, people go and watch them because they're the latest thing. Like the movie Unfriended, the horror movie.
Yeah.
That's a Blumhouse production right there.
Okay.
So they got a niche.
And the article really is about how Blumhouse, or at least this author, his name is John Squires, okay, and he's a Freddy guy. He
sounds like he belongs in the
his
1700s.
Twitter handle is Freddy in Space, okay. But he goes ahead and writes this article about how no, Blair Witch did not bomb at the box office.
Well, I mean,
okay.
it did not make a lot of money though, guys.
It did. Well, here his argument is that, one, he says that horror is not dead. Okay. One, he's wrong.
No one said it was.
I think it is, and a lot of people have said that horror is dead. I feel it is when it comes to studio system.
Okay, that makes sense.
And everything
I think
rebounds, everything comes back.
Right, but
I said that comedy was dead after the Holocaust.
Right, but I mean, for me, I just see that horror has become such a commodity within the studio system that original ideas are just gone out the fucking window. And I think even with independent horror films, original ideas have started to go out the fucking window too. There's just too much of it. But anyway, his argument is that because of the fact that Blair Witch grossed in its opening weekend almost $10 million, and it only costs $5 million to make, that suddenly is a success story right there.
I mean, I don't buy that at all.
Well, I don't buy that.
Well, especially when you hold it up to the original, when you look at the dividends from the first movie, Jesus Christ.
Here's why I don't hold that up, okay? One, it was released in about 3,121 theaters. That's a lot of theaters.
Oh, wow.
To release in, okay? That's a wide release.
That's a lot.
And you're only telling me you pulled in they pulled in $9,576,057.
That's really low.
That's really low for 3,121 theaters.
And for an opening weekend, those are impossible numbers.
It was projected to make around 100 to 20 million. Okay, it was projected to make 20 million.
It's halfway there.
Okay, the movie cost $5 million to make.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could go ahead and make the argument, as this guy does, that, it doubled its amount, within its opening weekend, so it's automatically a win. First of all, that $5 million does not take into account marketing.
Oh, yeah, no, that's always more
money. And
money.
Marketing is always more money than the actual production costs are.
It's true.
Okay?
What's a successful movie? It makes 4 times its budget. if it's a big Hollywood movie, that's a successful
I think that's
movie.
that's the benchmark.
So, and this guy's like, well, it's better to say that Blair Witch underperformed, but that's a bad headline. That's actually what he does say.
Brian, you're so angry.
I'm angry at this guy.
I mean, I think what your point is, Brian, like, money or not, it was a dog turd.
It was
and
a
that's what's
giant
important.
turd. And you can't
really
sugarcoat a giant turd.
It was
okay?
really bad.
Well, you can. But it's still a turd.
It's still a turd, okay? So I actually commented on this guy. I did. And I don't think he...
Trolling.
I was fucking...
Are you going to start a feud? Can we have
I'll
bad
fucking
blood?
start a feud.
I got a feud with Burke Ramsey. You killed your sister, you little shit. I saw your Dr. Phil.
I think he
look like
actually
a ventriloquist doll.
I think he actually removed my oh no, he didn't. I thought he would have, but he didn't.
Oh shit, would have gotten serious, man.
So
Skidmark69 is still up there? That's your handle.
no,
right?
that's not my handle.
Okay.
It's actually under me, Brian Kyton, adjunct professor at Chatham University. Okay, so I went ahead and basically said that I criticized Blumhouse directly.
Shit.
Because, okay, I'll just read my comment.
Get
okay?
real.
I think I'll just read my comment.
Do it.
Okay?
Read it as
So I said, so what you were saying is that shit movies can turn a profit as long as they are injected with loads of marketing money that costs pennies to make. I guess that the reason an article like this one saying horror isn't dead would pop up on your site because horror, at least in its current watered down nature, is your guys' bread and butter. I also get that as current purveyors of found footage films like Paranormal Activity series, you may feel a sense of kinship with Lionsgate and Blair Witch. But the fact of the matter is that financial reward does not equal a good movie. A good movie does not always equal financial reward. Blair Witch was a terrible film done on a tiny budget to guarantee a profit. The movie was devoid of plot, devoid of characters, devoid of any technical merit, and offered nothing more than the same rehashed garbage as the first film trotted out back in 1999. The only difference is that we know how the internet works now, so the gotcha marketing they presented doesn't work. So please tell me again how horror isn't dead when the only offerings I see are piss-poor films made on the cheap to guarantee a profit.
Shots fired.
That was shots fired, and it's actually considered the top comment right now.
Yes.
So that was 10 hours ago. I mean, granted, I don't think anyone else
Sounded
commented
like a
on
cat with like bowel issues.
But I'm sorry. I have a problem when success is ultimately measured in dollar signs, and that's
by the
somehow
studio.
fine by the
never gonna be
studio,
our yardstick,
and that's fine. But I'm just saying you can't go ahead and tell me that this is a good movie because it made double its cost of making. Okay, that's not a good movie.
No.
It's still shit. You just made shit that was so cheap that you could make a profit.
Yeah, well, they made it foolproof. They made sure that they couldn't fail financially.
My problems with the film...
But don't go ahead and tell me that it's a good movie, okay? That's my problem.
My problems with the films are I have to look at the film because you could make that argument across the board. Like the MCU is just one big manipulation by Disney to make us have to see 100 movies to understand what's happening in this movie, and each movie is a product for the other movie, and they are just as guilty on a gigantic scale as doing what these movies are doing on a small scale. My problem is you look at this movie and there are absolutely 100% no rules. Nothing is laid out ahead of time. You don't know what the Blair Witch can do, what she can't, what can beat her, if anything. There are no rules, so what the fuck am I supposed to care? I don't know if they can get out of this. And it clearly states they can't, so immediately there's no hope for anything, so there's nothing to care for
Like I said,
or to
no
hope
catharsis.
Yeah, because the Blair Witch has apparently no limitations. Nothing was stated. You look at Nightmare on Elm Street.
There are limitations to what Freddy's powers are.
And at first, he's undefeatable. He can do whatever he wants. We have to sleep at some point. But then through the process of the movie, they figure out something to beat him. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that they had to win in this movie. You could still kill everybody off. I don't give a shit. But if they just had presented something, though, the Blair, like with vampires, garlic or crosses or sunlight.
Well, even movies that go ahead and bend those rules, there's always something.
Yeah.
There's always some limitation on the power
and
of what
never
this thing can
introduced
do.
anything like that. So the movie has absolutely no purpose, and that's why you check your watch, and that's why you.
That's why if I checked my cell phone.
Yeah.
I went 2 minutes into this movie, and I was like, "Yep." you got me. Cell phone test failed.
Yeah, and we were in the theater, and I checked my phone, which I don't usually do, just for the time. Like, I didn't log
But that's the
on
thing
to
is,
anything,
if you're not sucked into the world, that the filmmaker has created, it's a bad movie.
Good movies can feel like 20 minutes in the theater. I've been in movies where I've been like, holy shit, we've been here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
John and I...
Dark Knight.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, I want more. But it felt like it was 20 minutes, and you're like, oh, wait, it's almost 3 hours long. But that's the difference between a good movie and a turd sandwich, which this was.
It was bad. There's like, what, 2 other people in the theater besides us?
4.
Oh, 4? Yeah.
Including one really confused-looking old man who's like, this isn't the ball game. We're on the ball game.
That would be amazing.
How are the Dodgers doing?
I wish that dude had been in there.
They're from Brooklyn still, right?
Yeah. He's got like a crossword puzzle and a Philip Roth novel. It's like, you're in the wrong place, sir. Here's a better ending to the movie. They're in the corner, and it's actually laid out. He says, I finally found you, and that's why he turns around. She attacks him. The other girl, dies, say even if her technology fails her, and that's, she hears the voice, and that's what gets her. And then if the one guy who, the creepy guy, Elaine, he leaves the house, he starts walking in the woods, and 10 minutes later he's back in town. There's your ending to the movie, and that would have actually had characters have some level of development.
You know what I would have loved to have seen? I would love to see this movie done as a traditional real movie.
Oh, I see.
That's what I would like to see.
That might be the next one.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I would love to see this film not do the found footage bullshit and just do it as a real fucking movie. Okay? Because the problem is that they're caught up in the gimmick.
Well, it's a remake. They claim a sequel because, like, the characters in the first one. It's a fucking remake. And
I know people will say, well, Book of Shadows was done like a real movie and everybody hated that. Okay, well, that was a bad movie too. Okay?
We're sensing a theme here.
We're sensing a theme here, okay? That they're just bad movies, okay? I mean, for me, I don't like the first one, so I consider that a bad movie, and it's just continuing a trend of bad shit films based off of a bad shit film.
It's true.
Okay, so it's not going to get any better. But I'm just saying...
This is all your fault.
This is all your fault. But I'm just saying, I would like to see...
We're all gonna laugh at you!
I'm just saying that I would like to see maybe if this movie was done as a real film, okay? And it's sad that I have to go ahead and say that there's a difference between a real film and this film.
Yeah.
Okay?
But, it would have done like what Saw did, and we would have had like cutaways to like disgruntled Danny Glover, like with the drinking problem, like, I've been chasing this Blair Witch my whole career. And then like he would have come and saved the day. We would have shot like, the witch in the head and been like,
No, see, I would have liked to have seen. The only thing that would have made this movie palatable for me is if Bruce Campbell came in and just fucking cut up the witch with a chainsaw. Just said, hey, I was on my way over to the cabin. I saw you guys. Thought I might give you a hand or a chainsaw, and take care of this witch for you.
Groovy, baby.
That's what I would have liked to have seen. You really want to pull me in?
There you go.
Have fucking Bruce Campbell show up in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, as it was, like I said, like the gimmick, as you guys say, like it did a good job of making me feel uncomfortable. But after a while, I just had a headache, and when I should have been my most invested in the film, I was just like, oh my god, is this fucking over?
Well, trailers will give away a movie when you go to see it, and I think we saw like Annabelle 2, Electric Boogaloo. And there was like another movie that looked exactly like it. And that's the problem with the movie we saw in these trailers is filmmakers today don't realize what actually scares us in movies. And that's when we're invested in characters and the story and what happens to them.
Yeah.
And that is what is actually terrifying. And interestingly enough, of all films, like I think The Sixth Sense, when I first saw that movie, and you can say what you want about M. Night Shyamalan, blah, 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 blah. Now, like that first film was very successful in creating characters we liked, a scenario that we were drawn into. And I remember a scene where Haley Joel Osment movie goes to take a leak in the middle of the night, and somebody walks by the camera, and you know it's a ghost.
Oh, yeah, that
and
was terrifying.
Yeah, and you're terrified because you actually give a shit. And I think what Filmmakers doing now is we're not going to create characters. We're not, we're going to keep them one-dimensional wooden characters, and we're not going to create a story, but we're going to fill the film with as much terrifying
jump scares
and horrifying imagery of people with no mouths or their eyes gone or hands in their head.
But I think
they're replacing actual fear with scares, which is not the same thing.
But I think the
they're
problem,
going boo instead of
the problem is that successful horror has always had basically the foreplay, and there's no foreplay in horror anymore. There's no build-up. There's no tension. There's no developing the characters so that you do care what the fuck happens to them, so that you do care about the situation. Really good horror movies, the ones that you remember, they play off of our own fears that we deal with on a daily basis. They deal with things like death. They deal with things like religion. I mean, granted, I'm not a big fan of The Exorcist, but it is a successful horror film. It does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are legit horror movies. They play off of our deepest, darkest fears and our deepest, darkest desires, things that we maybe don't want to let the public know about for fear of being ostracized or whatever. So I mean, that's where real horror lies in. It doesn't lie in jump scares. It lies in the foreplay, the build-up.
Exactly.
If that's not there, if that's devoid, if it's not present, then all you've got is honestly a Halloween gag.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it.
We could talk about this shit for forever, so I'm gonna call it here because we're at about an hour 33.
Hey, it's for that long car trip, y'all.
Yeah. So please be sure to like us on. Okay, I gotta go down the line here. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Google Plus. Like us first as people.
Like us in your heart.
Yeah.
And then on the internet.
Yeah. At Psycho Show. You can also follow myself on Twitter at Brian Coddington. You can follow Elaine. LA_Croft. John, you got a Twitter yet?
Well, guess
Twatter.
what, kids? I'm going to get a Twitter just so you can all tweet at me about how awful I am.
Stay tuned.
Or how great I am. Or, how big my package is, which you don't know. But, I mean, you could guess. You could say it's really, really small, really, really big, and I'll like it either way. So,
so you're gonna get a Twitter.
Yes, I'm gonna tweet my ass off.
Awesome. If you do have a favorite movie you would like for us to review or a question you want to throw our way, you can contact us at our website, cinemapsychoshow.com, and be sure to subscribe to catch our next show, available every Friday.
Good night. Good luck.
Peace.